snipers have finally met their end in Warzone, and even I, somebody who mains a sniper on Warzone live on stream, kind of got to the point where even I felt the snipers were getting a little bit ridiculous. With the increased TTK in Warzone generally, snipers were very much coming into a class of their own. And generally speaking, snipers in Warzone aren't difficult to control. They're easy to aim, they're easy to get kills with, easy to get headshots with, they don't have a lot of bullet drop or deviation, they don't have a lot of drag or any kind of mechanic that makes them challenging in any way, shape or form. So they finally had to make the distinction between fast, lightweight sniper rifles that could get these kills quickly, and heavier snipers, as well as obscure snipers which were semi-automatic. And those are the three categories: the fast, lightweight snipers for close range, the heavier long-range snipers, and the we shouldn't have made these weapons so we're going to basically nerf them until they don't exist category, which includes the Rytek, Dragunov, and M82. So let's talk about this. These are the three categories on screen here, and all of this information is courtesy of JGod. You guys know the man, he is the man with the stats. And if you're using either the Modern Warfare Kar 98, SPR, Pellington, Swiss, Type 99, Vanguard Kar 98, or LW3 Tundra, you can only get a one-shot headshot on an average range of around 50 meters, with the Pellington being the slight outlier at a slightly higher range of 70 meters. Whereas the HDR, AX50, ZRG, 3-line and Gorenko also get one-shot headshot downs at any range, regardless of what range they're at, be it 1 meter or 1,000 meters. And then of course you have the bottom category, which is, we shouldn't have made these weapons, they were just a joke, let's nerf them into oblivion so they don't exist anymore. So don't use the Rytek, Dragunov or M82 anymore, because they're basically pointless at this point in time. So ultimately you have these lightweight snipers which are only going to be good at close range. A 2-shot headshot at range isn't really viable. After the first headshot, most people will likely try and get into cover, most people will move away quickly, body shots won't do the damage either, neither will limb shots, so it really makes these snipers very specialized at what they do. That's not to say that they aren't viable anymore, you can definitely run close range snipers, it just means that in terms of your sniper support role, you're going to have to think differently. I normally run an SMG with my sniper, that isn't going to be an option anymore. I'm going to need something more medium range viable if I'm using a close range sniper rifle. The longer range category is definitely the most appealing. The AX50, ZRG, 3-line and Gorenko are most likely going to be really common weapons that people will try and use, including the HDR of course. But these snipers are slow by definition, and will take substantially more time for you to utilize, get an ADS in, get a headshot, and perform as well as you would have done previously with something like the Swiss K31. So at closer ranges, these snipers are going to be very difficult to fast peek people with, very difficult to get those quick shots off that make a difference, but at longer ranges, these things are completely dominant. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky, because I, being a scumbag and otherwise generally basic mathematician of Warzone, have already realized a bit of a loophole in this, and that is using the Cronen C480 optic on either the AX50 or HDR. Personally, I use the HDR because it has a faster ADS. If you use the Meta HDR, which is the monolithic suppressor, the 26.9-inch barrel, the TAC laser, and the fast ADS stock, you don't have to change anything else except for selecting the C480 optic. This will give you a 3.5x zoom, which is actually pretty substantial, and definitely very competitive at both close and long ranges. And you can even use the full cross-out version of this reticle, which makes it much cleaner. And it also massively improves the ADS speed on the HDR, and it isn't as quick as something like the Kar 98 or the Swiss, but it's certainly darn close for a sniper that can still one-shot headshot people at any given range. I was using this already at the second the season launched, it just seemed like the intelligent move, and I can safely tell you as somebody who was a Swiss K31 main, this feels pretty much as close as it's gonna get. I definitely find myself using my own gun SMG or secondary SMG more often with this build, but even then, it's still super competitive, and as long as you're not peeking people out in the open, you utilize your cover and use decent peeking points, you're going to find that the HDR with the C480 optic is a very, very competitive option, and probably the sniper meta in Warzone full stop, I would say, at this point in time. Now, this sniper change is really interesting, and it's part of a whole host of changes that I've noticed in Warzone recently, and honestly, I think it's a good set of changes. I think snipers are too aggressive, and whilst they definitely have a place in Warzone for being a skill trade-off, a risk-reward style system, in Warzone specifically, it was getting far too easy to use these light snipers at close range, get easy breaks and easy downs, and move on to other squad members. Now, these being limited at longer ranges means that they can't use one thing for everything. It's going to mix up the classes they have to use or make them super limited, because if they use an SMG to back up their close range sniper, then they're kind of screwed at long range, and if they use something like an assault rifle, they'll be a slower player generally. So it definitely shakes things up in a very positive way. And again, I say this as a Swiss K31 main, things were getting too ridiculous. Now, I don't think the entire setup of Warzone should be based around long-range assault rifles or LMGs. I also think those should have their own limitations. But with the 300 health change, it really did feel as though people were being punished for looking at snipers. And it really felt as though people like myself, who main sniper rifles in Warzone, were finding it way too easy. Way too easy to take out individual players or weaken squads very quickly. I still think snipers have their place, but in the grand scheme of things, I think this change is a positive one, and we should give them time to mess around with these ideas in order to figure things out. I really recommend my HDR build. I think it's, dare I say it, a little bit devious. It definitely takes the changes that they were trying to achieve and kind of, flips the bird at the change and says, actually, I still have a sniper build which is super powerful. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one, guys. I generally think it's a pretty solid change. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you again in the next one.